Here's another one of my sculptures. And then the last one I want to show you is the one that's in the Portland Art Museum, which is this one right here.
And what is that?
This is an 8-foot by 8-foot cast paper print, in the sense of using the environment as a printing surface.
Okay.
And I took a window, my actual window for my studio, and I used that as a etching plate, and I inked it up. I actually put ink on it, and then I pressed paper pulp onto it and let it dry. And then when the paper pulp dried and came off, it actually had the ink and the color and the impression of the window.
Wow.
So that's over at the museum now.
Okay.
So that's some of my work. Let's see. I wanted to now talk about the book.
Okay.
I have a writer in Los Angeles by the name of Clark Carr, who I've known for many, many years. And I got a call a year and a half ago. Richard, I just finished my book. I want you to illustrate it. There's no one else in the world that I would want to illustrate it more than you.
Okay.
I said, okay, and I started the process. So we sent images back and forth in the through email. Here's the back. It shows you what it looks like.
Now, this is not a children's book?
It could be. It's for children of all ages.
Kind of a fantasy?
It's a fascinating story. The first thing I did was I read his manuscript twice.
Okay.
Because I read it once and I went, wow, this is something else. So then and full of imagery that I could illustrate. Then I read it again, and then I started doing some ideas, sent them to Clark. He sent them back. We kept working back and forth on these ideas. But basically, the book is it's a wonderful story about wolves on Mars. That I'm going to read a couple.
The planet Mars.
On the planet Mars.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to give the story away.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to read a couple of reviews that the intro to the book that gives you a little flavor of it.
Okay.
Man has always pictured himself as the center of the universe. When he imagines the future, it is two-footed intelligence that rules. But what about the past, before man arrived to dominate the earth? What about four-footed intelligence? For that matter, what about intelligence with no feet or no hands? Take Mars, for example. The Last Wolves of Mars tells another story. At the end of a long Martian history of four-footed civilizations, life was not easy on our colder sister planet then. But there was life and love and art and conflict of ideas, and as forever, there were enemies to life too. Read this epic science fiction.
Okay.
And then, let's see, this is what the author said about it. As in the childhood of countless other boys and girls, one of Clark's earlier memories is standing on the roof of his house, holding his arms up, hoping desperately a flying saucer would come and take him away. The book was born out of a dream from that time. And there are a couple of reviews that we got that I'd like to read. One said, I've just read this cover to cover in no time flat, which, considering the book's size, is a massive recommendation. Even if you're not completely sold on sci-fi, it's worth giving it a try. As a holiday read, it's beyond reproach. Last Wolves is one of those books that sucks you in to an utterly absorbing other world. And the other one said, I'm already on my second time through it. This is one of the books that reads end to end, knowing full well that multiple readings will each unfold new and marvelous understandings and vistas, challenging the mind to stretch just a little bit further off the cliff or to fly off into space. So
Okay.
I hope that teases people into getting it. By the way, you can get it over at the bookstore here in McMinnville,
Okay.
the 3rd Street Book, and you can also get it at the library.
That's wonderful. So is that the first time that you've ever illustrated a book?
No, I haven't. I've illustrated 2 other books. One was a children's book, teaching children and teaching them how to learn. by Bernard Percy, and the other one was not quite the full book. It was the Paris Review. When I was in Paris, France, the Paris Review magazine asked me to illustrate some stories. So I illustrated one of the stories and a centerpiece. So that's my experience with that. But I wanted to talk about how a book like this gets put together. It's not, you know, you don't just sit down and do a bunch of illustration and, you know, an hour and a half later you've got the makings of a book. This took 1.5 years to do. And I'm going to show you some examples of why. First of all, there were lots and lots of drawings that didn't make it in.
And who decided?
The author.
Oh, okay.
You know, I do the drawings, and then he looks at it, and it's not quite. He might give me an idea, and I may do the drawing. This is one that didn't make it in.
The parrot?
The parrot, yeah. That was one of the characters was a bird, but he changed it to another character.
Okay.
So he didn't want the parrot in there anymore.
Got it. That parrot eye looks really good, though. Very realistic.
Yeah. And then this is one of the wolf drawings.
Okay.
That didn't make it in, but it's a nice drawing.
Yeah.
Let's see, some of the other ones that didn't make it in. Oh, here was an interesting one. There's a scene in the book that describes this. So I did an illustration of what he described. However, he preferred not to have the literal description there. And then there was lots of just gentle
that's really
pictures of
that's nice.
Mother and child wolves. And then some angry, he wanted a whole series of angry wolves, so I gave him some nice angry wolves.
I like it. Vicious.
Now, we were going to use one of these for the cover, and he just said, no, it's too angry. He doesn't want to scare people. He doesn't want people to, he wants people to reach for the book off the bookshelf, not to be frightened by it. So we got rid of that particular one. This almost made it to the cover.
Okay. And what is that little machine thing?
That little machine thing is one of the characters in the story.
Oh, okay, okay.
And how...
R2-D2 of Mars or something.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
That almost made it. What actually finally did make it to the front was this one.
Where he's riding the wolf.
Yeah. No, he's not riding the wolf. The wolf is sniffing him.
Oh, okay, I see.
Kind of, there's this conflict between the beings that are in a body and beings that are in a machine.
I see, okay.
I'm giving away a little of the
story.
So
that's like the intelligence that's the bodiless.
That's right.
Disembodied intelligence.
That's right. That's right. Some of the more funny drawings that didn't make it was one of those.
Did you wind up putting any drawings with color?
I didn't do any. We didn't want anything in color.
Okay.
Because the book was going to be in black and white. So let's see. Here's a good angry one that almost made it to the front.
Yeah, that one. You're really good with eyes. I mean, if they're supposed to look soft, they look soft, or you know, inquisitive or mean. You really have a knack for that, I think.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Since you're making your living doing it, I guess it's a good thing, huh?
Yeah, well, I've made a living as an artist for 40 years.
Okay.
I decided one day I wasn't going to go that route. I was going to go that route, and I was going to try to make a living doing it. And so I prepared myself, and I actually did. I lived as an artist. I did all sorts of things, but always in the art world. Okay. And now I'm doing something with music. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that are interesting about how these drawings developed. This is a series of drawings that developed into the final, well, we won't show, into the final drawing that ended up in the book.
Okay.
So you can see it starts off being the this one over here. Then we wanted the wolf that was going to end up in the sphere.
Okay. That's really clever. Really interesting.
Thank you. And then there was one other that shows the sequence pretty nicely, we started off, we wanted, part of the story is the idea of the fly fishing. So the wolf is flying in a Da Vinci styled glider and fishing, trolling behind.
Okay.
And then this gigantic fish jumps out of the water.
Like a big flying fish or something?
Bites him, yeah.
Is that what it is?
So that developed over a series of drawings, so we had to do that. We started off with some other ideas which never quite gelled, and we ended up with what we got. But these give you an idea of some of the other ones.
So probably for you, you've got something in your mind, but obviously it's really difficult to convey that to the author without actually physically drawing it out.
Right.
And letting him see it and saying, that's not quite what I had in mind. So I'm sure that's an interesting process.
Well, we have a discussion, and then we throw ideas back and forth. Then I'll do some drawings, send it to him, then he'll maybe make some changes in it. Maybe he'll even draw on my drawing and send it back and forth until we get to what we like, what we both are happy with.
Interesting, okay.
So that was that. So we have some time to talk about music.
Absolutely, you bet.
Okay, I also am a musician, and I perform all over this area. I play flamenco guitar. Maybe we could play some of the music that I've got recorded.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should hear it.
So you can hear some of it. I don't think we have time for me to pick up the guitar and play.
Probably not.
I play flamenco guitar as my primary love, but I also do blues, oldies, contemporary and folk, and classical. And I put all that together and I play at the retirement homes like Hillside, Life Care Center, Oakwood County, Country Place, Osprey Court, Parkland Village, Rock of Ages, Villa of McMinnville, Wynwood of McMinnville. I thought I'd plug them because we're local, and they're going to be watching it also, so I thought they'd like that.
So are these things that are open, like the public could go in and listen?
I think if you called them, they might allow you to do that.
Sure, okay.
But I will be performing at I can't think of the name of the place, in October. I'm going to be performing in town.
Okay. At one of a non-residential community?
Yeah, it's a public place.
Okay, great.
The Oasis, something Oasis, on 3rd Street. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
So that's.
How did you get into music?
Well,
with all the other things you do, when did you find the time?
Music has been always there in the background. It never was in the forefront. Now it's in the forefront. But my mother was a concert pianist. My stepfather was a jazz musician. He played with the Dorseys in those days, and I grew up with that. So, but I also saw what a hard life it was for a working musician to make a living. And
Lots of nights and weekends.
Nights and weekends, right. My mom had her day job, and I didn't want to do that. So but I grew up with a love of music. So I always had a guitar, and I always played from the time I was very young. And only in the last 4 or 5 years have I really gotten serious about the music. And I seem to be a gypsy. I'm traveling all over the world. I'm living in different places. And I'm attracted to flamenco music. I feel like an urban gypsy. It's
beautiful. It's really nice. And you have had such a widely varied and interesting career too. Well, I have fun. That's the most important thing. I made that decision at that turning point that I was going to do what I love to do, and I would make it work. So that's what I've done for the last 40 or 50 years, is just do what I love doing and somehow eke out a living. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's been wonderful. It was great. Oh, I should say that you can see the lastwolvesonmars.com. Oh. Is where you can see the book and all of its information. We can't say .com on this show. Oh, you can't? Yeah. Okay, well, so scratch that. Okay, perfect. Whatever you want. Well, it's interesting. I'm actually looking forward to reading the book. Well, wonderful. Thank you. You're quite welcome.